morning.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Smack-a-ma-gob, it's time for the only news that matters on Kiss Wednesday. And Ace Frehley is quite honest in admitting that he does not possess the same work ethic as his former Kiss mates, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley of Kiss, when it comes to songwriting. But that said, the original and only Spaceman may have used that in his advantage, going for quality over quantity, and as a result offered up what many Kiss fans agree, including me, was that best solo album of the four members in 1978 was Ace Frehley's, hands down. During an interview with Goldmine, Ace Frehley further discussed how Simmons and Stanley were far more driven than he was when it came to composing tunes. However, the guitarist may have provided a much-needed balance back in the group's glory days of the 70s. He said, well, after the success of my solo album, the writing was on the wall for me. I realized I was more creative away from those guys because they're control freaks and they like things the way they like them. I don't like recording the way they recorded because sometimes they would do 20, 25 takes and I'd say, we're beating a dead horse here on this song. That happened with Bob Ezrin working on the Destroyer album. You know, when I'm recording, if I'm working with a drummer and just me and the drummer, if I can get in there 4 or 5 takes at the most, I'll just say, let's try something else, because after 5, 6, 7 takes, you start losing the spontaneity and you start getting bored actually. Doing 25 takes of a song is completely absurd. Ace Frehley also dug a bit deeper concerning his claim that he butted heads with his former bandmates during the recording of their 1976 album Destroyer, and how his recording approach may have helped save a certain song. He says, I don't remember what song it was, but it was one of the songs on Destroyer. I said to Gene and Paul, listen, why don't we just put this to sleep right now and try something else? We can come back into the studio tomorrow and try it again. And lo and behold, we came back to the studio the next day and did it. We did it in 2 and 3 takes because we knew the song. We knew what the pitfalls were and the mistakes were made. And we knocked it off. And it had spontaneity. Destroyer is considered one of, if not the best Kiss studio album. It spawned such classics as Detroit Rock City, God of Thunder, and Shout Out Loud, as well as their first ever top 10 U.S. single, the Peter Criss sung ballad, Beth. What saved the band? Peter Criss, Beth saved Kiss. You know, so many people saved Kiss. Bill Aucoin saved Kiss. Neil Bogart saved Kiss. Eddie Kramer saved Kiss. And in this case, Destroyer was a bomb. When they released Destroyer, it did not do what they thought it was going to do. Coming off the heels of Alive, they took a chance. And I applaud Kiss for getting ballsy and making an album like Destroyer, which is totally different than the first 3 albums. You know, it's a radical difference, and fans didn't like it. They thought it sucked. And I'm talking about like the hardcore Kiss fans, the fans that were there for the first 3 albums, or the fans that came in during Kiss Alive. You know, they wanted their Kiss that way. That's the Kiss they fell in love with. And then when they released Destroyer, they were all like, what the hell is this? And it was because of the DJs flipping the single over. Because Detroit Rock City, the single, the B-side was Beth. And DJs started to flip the song over. And Beth took off. But Beth didn't take off because of the Kiss fans. No, it took off because of the masses. You know, it became a huge, huge hit. Because the masses back then loved Captain and Tennille and, you know, that soft stuff. So that blended in quite well. And it exploded because of Peter Criss. Or else, you know, it would have stayed bombed. And, you know, while it was bombing, Kiss panicked. And they ran in the studio and they started recording Rock and Roll Over, which is my second favorite studio album after the first Kiss album. And they wanted to get back to more of a rocky, rolly type thing. And but while recording, that's when Beth blew up. And they're like, oh, well. Because as I understand from a book I read, Paul and Gene were pissed at Bob Ezrin. They were pissed off at him. And then when it took off, they both were like, nah, you know what, you're a good guy. Which shows you the headspace. Like, you know, Gene now recently bashed Elder. Paul always bashes Elder. But, you know what? It's just like they were bashing Bob Ezrin with Destroyer when it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. Well, the Elder never did what it was supposed to do, so they'll continue bashing it. But you know, if that shit would have became huge, they would be loving it now. And the same thing with Carnival of Souls. How Paul bashes Carnival of Souls. Because, you know, it just came out and came and left. But shit, if you ask me, I think Paul Stanley of Kiss was the VIP on Carnival of Souls. I think he wrote the better songs on that album. But, you know, that's Kiss for you, man. If it didn't sell, then the album sucks. If it sold a lot, then, oh yeah, we're very proud of this and that. And yes, I know a lot of Kiss hardcores, including myself, would not really put Kiss Destroyer up on the list of our favorite Kiss albums from the makeup days. But I think it's a damn fine album. Yeah, there's some songs I'm not too crazy about. Like Great Expectation, I can do without. But overall, it's a damn fine album, man. I don't think it's a bad album at all. I think it rocks, it kicks ass, and it was different. And Bob Ezrin brought that amazing guitar solo. That shit rules, man, in the middle of Detroit Rock City. You can tell that's Bob Ezrin because Paul or Ace weren't writing solos like that up to that point. And I think that shit's awesome. I think Detroit Rock City alone, that song alone, is fucking, is worth the price of admission. Then you have King of the Nighttime World. That song rules. Yeah, it's a cover, but it rules. God of Thunder kicks ass. I prefer the Gene Simmons version. I know a lot of people love the Paul Stanley demo. I'm not too crazy about it. I don't like it. I don't like that drum sound that J.R. Smallwood, I think, did. I'm not a fan. I enjoy this version, and I enjoy the Alive 2 version. For the longest time, I thought the Alive 2 version was the better version. Now I think it's a tie because they're so different. You know, I love the Destroyer version. I love the little kids. They sound like they're going into a cave, and then at the end, the little kids sound possessed. Shit's awesome. I love Do You Love Me, one of my favorite Kiss songs. Shout Out Loud's great, and I even love Beth. Alright? I love it. But anyway, what do you all think, man? I mean, well, as far as Destroyer and whatever Kiss album I just talked about. Give me your opinions below. I mean, alright, so Ace couldn't work with Gene and Gene and Paul because they were control freaks. There you go. So, that's another Only News That Matters for Kiss Wednesday. Yes, I keep bringing you it. There's no stopping me, I hope. So please, everybody out there, subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Ring that little notification bell and like the video, because that would be awesome for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty, listen to Black Sabbath, and smack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies.
Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston, and so never more shall we see you again.